Today we're going to look at what we picked up at Big Lots. First up is Unsane, directed by Steven Soderbergh, written by Jonathan Bernstein and James Greer, starring Claire Foy, Joshua Leonard, Jay Farrow, and Juna Temple. The story of a woman who is involuntarily committed to a mental hospital after a run-in with a stalker. The claim to fame, aside that it's a Soderbergh movie, is that it was shot on an iPhone 7. I didn't get the chance to see this when it came out, but for $3, I couldn't pass it up. My Cousin Vinny, directed by Jonathan Lynn, written by Dale Launer, starring Joe Pesci, Marissa Tomei, Ralph Macchio, and Fred Gwynne. An unexperienced lawyer comes to rural Alabama to defend his cousin and his friend in a murder trial. This movie is great. It's definitely a favorite from when I was young, and when I saw it on Blu-ray, I had to grab it. The Strangers Pray at Night, directed by Johannes Roberts, written by Brian Bertino and Ben Katai, starring Christina Hendricks, Martin Henderson, and Bailey Madison. From what I can tell, this is pretty much the same as the first Strangers movie. I liked some elements from the first one, but I haven't seen this one yet, so I figured I'd give it a shot. 7. Directed by David Fincher, written by Andrew Kevin Walker, starring Morgan Freeman, Brad Pitt, Kevin Spacey, and Gwyneth Paltrow. Freeman and Pitt play detectives on the case of a serial killer using the 7 deadly sins as his motive. I had this on DVD. I thought an upgrade was due, plus it's got special features that I don't think my DVD has. Mad Max, directed by George Miller, written by George Miller, and James McLaughlin, starring Mel Gibson, Joanne Samuel, and Hugh Keys-Byrne. In a close-to-the-edge apocalyptic wasteland that was Australia, a policeman, Max, sets his sights on an unruly motorcycle gang. This has to be one of my favorite exploitation flicks. It's got it all: action, drama, and crazy car chases. It's Superman Anthology from 1978 to 2006. It contains Superman the Movie the Expanded Edition, Superman 2, Superman 2 the Donner Cut, Superman 3, Superman 4 the Quest for Peace, and Superman Returns. There's not much to say. It's Superman. Has the first 2 flicks, and that's all I really cared about. The rest of it's just a bonus, except for Superman Returns. Sorry, Brandon Routh. Kundo. I'm not going to attempt to butcher the names of those who were in it or made it, so they're on the screen right now. It's a Korean period piece about a militia group that rises up against unjust rulers. This was on clearance for 75 cents. It looked interesting enough to give it a shot. Banshee Chapter, written and directed by Blair Erickson, starring Katya Winter, Ted Levine, and Michael McMillan. A journalist investigates a friend's disappearance and finds herself in the middle of a Lovecraftian nightmare. From the cover and the pictures on the back, it looked interesting, but after looking into it, it appears to have been shot in 3D, and that worries me a bit, but I guess we'll see. Poker Night, directed by Greg Francis, written by Doug Buchanan and Greg Francis, starring Bo Murchoff, Ron Perlman, Titus Welliver, and Giancarlo Esposito. A detective is captured by a psychopath and locked in a basement. Now he must try and escape. Like Banshee Chapter, this was distributed by Macabre by Accelerator. I grabbed it because of the cast, but I'm starting to wonder how much Perlman, Esposito, and Welliver are actually in it. Hunger, directed by Stephen Hentges, written by L.D. Goffigan, starring Laurie Herring, Lyndon Ashby, Joe Edginger, Leah Cole, and Julian Rojas. This is part of Fangoria's Fright Fest. 5 people are imprisoned in an underground dungeon. Honestly, it sounds like Saw. It might be a ripoff of that, I don't know, but I'm actually looking forward to seeing this. True Romance, the underrated director's cut, directed by Tony Scott, written by Quentin Tarantino, starring Christian Slater, Patricia Arquette, Dennis Hopper, and so many more great actors. It's a story of love, pimps, drugs, the mob, all set in Hollywood. I could not recommend this enough. The cast is amazing, the story is amazing, and if you haven't seen this yet, I urge you seek it out. Ultimate Action Collection. Contains 8 movies: Death Wish 2, Missing in Action 2, The Beginning, Braddock, Missing in Action 3, Invasion USA, Cyborg, Exterminator 2, and Ninja 3, The Domination. It's basically a Canon Films movie collection, without saying that it's a Canon movie collection. It has 4 Chuck Norris movies, the weirdest ninja movie I've ever seen, a movie with Van Damme with the worst named characters, and Charles Bronson wishing death for a second time. If you'd like to see another haul video, click on that one. And if you'd like to see one of our reviews, check that one out. Thanks.